Hello, everyone. A few hours ago, I was on a plane on my way back from Spain, but good to see you again. It's Monday, the 15th of September, I think, 2025. I think I'm in Britain. I think I can feel it. Right. Oh, this is going to be an interesting news little bite. How's RTD's Gatwa Gambit turned into a busted flush? RTD thought he was playing an ace with Ncuti, but instead he looked like he was playing the Joker. How after all this big billing, big hype, big build up, we get a big letdown? They intended to make a big splash with Ncuti Gatwa, and we got a big flop. We were promised, and I know Disney was promised, a hard reboot, and what they got was soft soap. I also have to ask tonight, when we look at the quotes from Ncuti in the Radio Times, does actually Doctor Who have a potential longevity problem going forward in the light of what Ncuti Gatwa, Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi have said about the work schedules? So there's a serious other point as well. We know they build in Doctor Who light episodes, don't we? Still doesn't seem to keep the actor though, does it? Is this evidence of the first snowflake Doctor? Why did he apply for the job and audition for it if he did not have the commitment to want to sustain it? If he was sick of Cardiff and missing his family, why did he go for the prize job that would keep him in Cardiff for a lot longer? There's so much to look at behind what he said, as well as check on his knees, his hips, his tiredness levels and all the rest of it. Good to see everybody in the thread. Tell me about this, Mike. You know, I was worried about it like mad. But let's get going. I had to wrestle with myself. Here we go. Right. Ncuti Gatwa in the Radio Times, only yesterday, and thanks to Garbage for sending this to me, said, it was a very difficult decision to leave Doctor Who. I had to wrestle with myself. Now, there's a lot I want to say, and I know you'll want to join in here. Ncuti claims to found the decision to leaving the show difficult, having, like he says, to wrestle himself. Was he strong enough? Who would cry first? Himself or himself? So in other words, I get it. He was torn. Yeah, torn between what his agent wanted, torn between his ambition. I think their plan A had gone wrong. He'd been in Sex Education as part of the team. He'd been in Barbie. This was now him being lead actor in a big franchise. And then the next plan was no doubt Hollywood. But unfortunately, RTD, Bad Wolf, and how Doctor Who was set up did not serve it up, did it? So plan A went wrong. So when he says I was wrestling with myself over whether I should stay on as the Doctor, I mean, we would understand you'd want to stay on. He's toying with being loyal to his contract or jumping ship early, which he actually did. Now, why? Why, if it was working so well? Why, if the ratings were better than they were telling, they thought the ratings were better than what we thought? We were told there was a toxic atmosphere behind the scenes. We were told behind the scenes there was problems with the talent. We were told, and we saw and we read all the bad PR about seasons 1 and 2. So maybe the actors and the agent were unhappy. They saw Disney was out and they needed to get out themselves. This is what it looks like to me. So, lots to talk about. An actor riddled with angst. Right, let's take a look at what was... And now, by the way, remember my source, and there's more coming, but my source did say this to us recently. Ncuti's one of those who's got managers, he's got agents, he's got PR. I have heard that they bought themselves out of the contract because they wanted out. As soon as Disney didn't renew, they went out. And the contract was for much longer. In order to get out of that contract, they had to buy him out. And so this makes an awful lot of sense to me when, he's going to give us all this slaver about it's been a very difficult decision. So let's just see what the Radio Times said, and then I'll come to the thread and see what you've got to say about it. So Doctor Who star Ncuti Gatwa has opened up and said he had to wrestle with himself. Right, yeah. How do you do that? I was tired and burnt out at the end of season 2. It was exhausting, but it was a magical time. I've just finished teaching. Yeah, I know I've gone early. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to... Yeah, sorry. Did you know I'm Brendan Noble, former teacher? Yes, we know who you are.
Hello.
Doctor, wouldn't mind cloning you. Typical sense sphere. Typical AI from Garbage. Garbage who? Give him that subscription. Good to see you all. So, it was exhausting, tired and burnt out. Any job we've all had when you've been tired and burnt out and exhausted, and then you say, but it was a magical time. I feel as though there's some gap in between. Let's take a look at what he's meaning here. I mean, why did Russell T Davies, BBC, Disney, Bad Wolf compress 2 seasons into one filming block? I will challenge that. So before we have a go about Ncuti, I will say this makes no sense. Why the haste? What's that expression? Marry in haste, repent at leisure. Well, we're certainly having a lot of leisure time now. The pause, the hiatus, the limbo. We're suffering that now because of Rtd'S haste. I don't think it was Disney's to actually say, let's do 2 seasons in one filming block. Let's chuck the specials all in together and do all that. The actor has said, Mayday, Mayday, I really can't cope with any more. And in some ways, Matt Smith got an injury. In some ways, Peter Capaldi said the schedule was ridiculous. In some ways, so did Jodie Whittaker. So there is an element where the way New Who is operating, the way RTD is operating, it just mucks up how the actors can sustain this. Never mind whether we like them or not. So my question is, are we listening to the actors? Can Doctor Who, if it does come back one day, with whoever we pick, can it be sustained in the long term? Because nearly every actor is saying they need to bail out. You've got a 32-year-old actor who says he'd rather do the West End with its punishing schedule. He'd rather do something else than Doctor Who. Right, now I know there's other things to say about the Ncuti actor, but he's not the only one. So my question is here, why was there such a rush with Doctor Who? If anyone's got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. I know my source says it was cheaper. I know he says, it was, in many ways it makes a lot of economic, financial sense. But it made no sense because we had no development of the Doctor's character from season 1 to season 2. RTD was just absolutely splurging out these scripts. And of course, in the end, he had to then absolutely, he's knackered his actor. The actor wants to bail out. It's not worked. So the whole Susan build-up was ballsed up. The whole thing was a cock-up. So why were we so precipitate to want to burn the budget? Why rush through our ideas? Why knacker your lead actor? Yeah, that's what I'm not getting. Mind you, he has moaned about his knees being knackered before, so of course, I think he already had his sick note in. But it makes me also wonder about RTD. RTD's done his kind of little gay series, shorter ones, 6 or 7 episodes. Can he actually anymore sustain a full series? Or does he just act, knacker his main actors? Remember, Season 1, 2005, Eccleston left. Now, we know there's a lot of stories there, but in essence, HR did not happen. In essence, personnel management did not happen. In essence, there was too much stress behind the scenes. Eccleston eventually culminated in leaving after 1 year. Ncuti leaves after 1 filming block. What is the common denominator? RTD being the boss. Fascinating, isn't it? So, A reminder, Ncuti, I'm getting old and tired. My knees, yeah, we had that discussion. So let's look at, and I'll say now, before I go further into his discussion, I will come to the thread any second now, so don't worry. Just to remind you, Ncuti did say recently as well, the physical, emotional, and the mental toll. Now, before we say snowflake, we can also say, so is RTD learning? Is he listening? Or are we just never going to be able to keep a Doctor Who actor for more than a year? Is this it? We're just going to end up with fly-by-nights. He said he was getting old. Oh, now that makes me laugh, and that makes me feel old when he says that. And of course, as Laura Kunsberg found out when she said, why did you walk away? Because I'm getting old and my body was tired. Yeah. Okay. So that's in essence what he said to us before. Yeah. And now we want to come to what he was saying to the Radio Times just yesterday, because we know he's fit. Let's just change the branch. There we go. He says there was never an opportunity to recoup the energy. It's just go, go, go. I was doing 7 days a week for 8 months, and I found it hard being away from home and family. I'd already been shooting in Cardiff for 5 years, on and off, prior to that with Sex Education, and we started shooting Doctor Who while I was doing season 4 of Sex Ed. And that's why he had to wrestle with himself about leaving. Now, there's a lot to say, and this is when I'm going to come into the thread a bit here. What an indictment of how Bad Wolf or BBC or RTD is running Doctor Who. The actor's basically saying they can't sustain it. Now, take Ncuti out of the equation for a second. Peter Capaldi would have found that a punishing schedule. Cardiff is not the pull anymore. Let's be honest. My sources told me this. As he said, Billy Piper's not want to go to Cardiff for the next couple of years. No, that's not the. So there's that element too. Now, I will also say, Ncuti Gatwa, hello. If you had been in Cardiff for 4 or 5 years already, shooting Sex Education, and then you found that too much, why the hell did you go for the Doctor Who job? It makes no sense to me. If I'm sick of being in an area when I was a teacher, and when I applied for a job, because I could apply anywhere in the country with my English teaching, then you just apply. If you didn't like that area, just leave it. So it makes no sense to me that he's waffling on about Cardiff and missing family. Then why take a prime lead acting role which is going to tie you to Cardiff? So something tells me either that story doesn't hold water, or that, this man doesn't join the dots at all, or has the PR behind him now said, look, you can't keep saying it was in your knees. It's not a good look. So now we're going to have to craft a bit more of a story about your family and Cardiff being a bit manky, that sort of thing. Is it getting any better? Is this sick note looking any better? Now, the thread's been on fire. I'll try and bring a few people in. But first of all, let's just remind ourselves of our friends that make Doctor Who Doctor Who.
Leave the girl. It's the man I want.
Oops. Oh, sorry. I'm going to trigger you all. No. Let's go proper Doctor Who.
Women, shut the fool up.
Cheeky devil. Tell you, he's got a mouth on him. So, let's listen to the mouths from the thread. Matt Postgate here. Those classic serials were probably scene by scene Doctor lighter than a modern season because they had bigger casts of... This is it. If we had a season of maybe only, 4 stories? Or even 3 stories with 2 or 3 episodes, Mark, we financially it would work better because we could build a better, a world and set. The cast, it's less expensive because you're using them over several weeks. And as you're saying, the Doctor wouldn't necessarily have to be in every scene. This is an indictment of how RTD and then his legacy has been about wanting to craft New Who. And all of us have said New Who is dead in the water now. You've got to move on back to Episodic. Episodic is all over Netflix. Episodic is everywhere. So get with it, RTD, because there was no need for this nonsense where, yes, as Mark Postgate is saying, he's in every blooming scene, and in the end, you knacker him. I'm going to, for a second, sounds on HR. Stephen O'Neill, Millie Gibson should have been the doctor. Oh, don't you start triggering me. I'm on to you.
I'm sorry. But it's a lie.
It's a lie. It's a lie. Can't have it. Right. Tom by Chick, Millie carried the show on her own for a while before Ncuti even turned up. And I think that did not sit very well, from my understanding. Gareth Morgan, he's 32. I'll be 60 at the end of next month. I've had bad knees and legs. He's a damn kid. He's young enough to be my grandson. And he's bitching like he's 78. Shall we just say we don't believe him? And that this version is the more crafted version than the old version about the knees. Now he says it was just full on, 7 days, 8 months. I'd been in Cardiff a long time and I was missing my family. This is, I think, Gareth, this is the new version of the knees excuse. Robert Payne, how can Ncuti get a long-term role if he can't handle a regular job? I find it fascinating. I think he's a fly-by-night. I think he's one of those actors. He can do the West End for 3 months. Yeah? He can be part of an ensemble in Barbie or in Sex Education. I don't think he's the lead actor, but this is where I will always say RTD's at fault here. Number one, RTD threw too much schedule at this actor who'd never been a lead actor before. 2 seasons jammed in there. High profile role. Who's at fault? RTD. Who's now walked off to some Channel 4 job. Tiptoe, yeah. Matthew Burrows. How much older is Idris Elba and the running he did in the Luther film and other action? Yeah, we don't buy it, do we, Matthew? We don't buy it. It clearly isn't the real reason. I think the real reason he's trying to plant is there, right in front of us. Simon Mills isn't buying it. I'm 41. Give the job to me. I'd do it. Yeah, I know. First Brummy Doctor. Can we have a first Brummy Doctor? Could we cope with it? I'm not too sure. Let's ask Morbius.
You said we were alone here. Trapped like this, like a sponge beneath the sea. I, Morbius, who once led the High Council of the Time Lords, now reduced to this. Who are you? Where have you come from? Are you one of the Sisterhood?
I thought it was absolutely vital to do this. I'm so proud of the fact that I deserve an award. And I have problems with her. And lots of us on the production team that I hired only last week had problems with her.
Problems, yeah. So let's look at this more. There's lots of questions here, by the way, with this statement. You either totally believe it or we can pick holes in it, but let's talk behind the scenes of this. I said earlier, when Doctor Who does come back, can it sustain 12, 10 episodes in a season, even with a Doctor Light? Or do we have to completely change the structure? Would you accept a mini-series of about 4 or 5 episodes a year that would actually be a less punishing schedule and maybe keep the actor for longer? What would you put up with? Because I do think something's going to have to give. Clearly, we can't... Look, if you don't like the Ncuti Doctor, the 15th Doctor, and you're happy he left, and then you didn't like the Jodie Doctor and you're happy she left, okay, you think that's okay. But is the schedule also the problem? And when we do get an actor we do like, we don't want to lose them too fast. I was gutted we lost Peter Davison so early. I was gutted we lost Colin Baker so early. You know, you do wonder sometimes, you know, we're losing the talent that would have really enjoyed having another season to really get behind the role. And of course, in this great time of be kind to yourself and blah, 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 you know where I'm going with this one. Where's the human resources management? Let's see what he says there. Ncuti says it was a punishing schedule. So in this lovely, kind TV world, what the hell did they do about it? Are we just going to burn up each lead actor in Doctor Who? Because I don't think that works. We want an actor who lands the role, plants his blooming personality all over it, owns it, and then can hang around without killing himself. And therefore, you need the management from RTD down to know what they're doing, and not just to be sat there in Swansea writing another rubbish script to make your actor run around, tart himself up, change his dress sense every 4 or 5 minutes, all for the sake of no ratings and getting the kind of toxic press. Why don't you slow down, have a strategy for keeping your lead actor, have a strategy for making what he actually does more impactful and more influential and more convincing, and then we might be in a slightly better place. Instead, we've spent the Disney money, we've run to the hills onto Channel 4, we're now moaning about there's a pause to Doctor Who, all because they haven't put their ducks in a row. And I'm going to say a bit later today, there's no way this is where RTD wanted us to be after 2 seasons. Because with a spin-off that's been delayed, the whole point would have been, let's be truthful, that the spin-off would have been riding on the wave of these 2 successful seasons of Ncuti. That's what RTD wanted. So this has all gone, upside down all over the shop. And it is the fault of... Right, so Tony Farrell's TARDIS. Sorry, Brendan. Why does a shorter season equate to an easier workload? Surely a shorter season just means less time allocated to its production. Tony, good point. I'm just trying to see different ways around this. That's you know what I'm saying. I was quite happy to say, why can't we have, say, I don't know, three episode seasons, so about 9 episodes. And I think Tony Farrell, within that, the workload would be more sustainable for the lead actor. We don't need a full TARDIS crew of fam to kind of, dilute the load. Because that's the other issue. Do you want a TARDIS crew of 3 or 4 all the time so that they can actually take some of the burden? There's too many things. The shortcuts have all been there. You've seen RTD, Moffat and Chibnall do it. Whether you like the puns or not, River Song, we had a whole soap opera family. We had the Tyler family. We had Martha's family. It seems we have to have the full soap opera Emmerdale effect to keep the main actor in his job for the workload to be satisfying. Can't we just go back to the drawing board and think, is there another way? Now, Tony Farrell, if a shorter season isn't the way to do it, okay, let's just plunk that one aside. But you know what I'm saying? Episodic, therefore we can craft a world builds, therefore the Doctor can't be in every scene, might be another way around it. But I take your point. Mad Mackham, does the pace of work break them, or does the politics and RTD nonsense break them? Another good point, actually, Mad Mackham, because let's face it, was Tom Baker, on glamour magazines all the time, doing kind of photo shoots for glamour poses and everything? No, was he hell? Was John Pertwee moonlighting? Was Patrick Troughton moonlighting? No. And neither were they doing loads of other stuff as well. It seems to me a lot of these actors as well want their cake and eat it. And yes, they have a whole kind of team behind them where they say, what virtues do we have to sell? What kind of tick boxes do we want to say we're on top of? And by the way, I think they've realised that they actually were trying to sell their representation of the first gay black Doctor and all the rest of it. And actually, I think that's why he was wrestling with this. His ambition, obviously it had gone a bit toxic and he didn't want to be associated with it. But I think he realised that he'd already ticked the box. He was the first black Doctor, the first gay Doctor. Tick, tick, tick. And now after 2 seasons, boring. What next? That superficial level, once you've hit the headlines for being the first something, it's a bit boring now. Now what do I do? I get that vibe because you're in it for the wrong reasons. Tom Baker was the 4th white male doctor. What the hell could he do with that except be bloody good at it? What could John Pertwee do? Well, he was the first colour doctor. This is it. They just had to maintain, sustain, craft a new version of the Doctor. But when you get there, I'm the first woman Doctor. I'm the first gay Doctor. I'm the first black Doctor. They're winning easy headlines, but then after that, they don't know how to sustain them. By the way, as a little punctuation mark, you know I was advertising in my Cliffhanger shows tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with a live panel. Yes, I've got the team back. We are going to be discussing all the headlines around Jodie Whittaker, her recent Doctor Who monthly interview. They call it the ultimate interview. She says she could have stayed for another season. Big finish, the whole lot. 8 p.m. live tomorrow night. Nowhere else to be. That'll be a fun one. John, Joe, Ryan from Belfast. We've got the team. They've got a lot to say. So we will be judging Jodie tomorrow night and what she's said. So book your place there. Right. I'm dovetailing what he said in the Radio Times yesterday to what he said to the Radio Times a few months ago. So this is from a few months ago, and he said, it's the most amazing job in the world. It's a job that any actor would dream of, but it's strenuous. It takes a lot out of you physically, emotionally, and mentally. That's why I'm asking the questions I am about where can Doctor Who go in the future? David Harding, we need an actor dedicated to the show, not one that's running himself ragged by taking on other jobs, knackering themselves, overstretched. We used to call it but you overstretch yourself. Pull back, slow down. The trouble is everybody's in a hurry nowadays, and we know that seems to be society, doesn't it? Stephen Braddock, hello. Loads of you have written to me with your Cliffhanger suggestions, so I'm dying to actually try and kind of line them up and then contact you. We should have had 4 stories each season of 25-minute episodes and no second season in case of a course correction, but they were up to their own asses with arrogance. I cannot deny that, Stephen. I cannot deny that. There's either hubris, arrogance, complacency, or utter bloody stupidity. Poor management, I would say. Simon Mills. It's true, Peter, Colin and Sly should all have had at least another season each. Yeah. We've never said the BBC were good at managing this blooming franchise, did we? Deadman. I know lots of youngsters who work hard. Many have chronic illness. And continue. It's the dedication, as Roy Castle used to say. It's the dedication to the job. As Robert Payne says, one costume, a clear characterisation, consistent scripts and time to film them. That shouldn't be impossible. What was impossible, and I think it probably was, is for some reason, RTD wanted 2 seasons compressed into one filming block. The big question is, why? Were Disney acting like Michael Barnier saying, the clock is ticking, you can only spend our money in the first 100 days? What the hell was going on? Because other than that, it seems so stupid to me. I remember with anything I've done in my jobs, the boss at the top says, great idea, Brendan. Take it easy. I want to see the strategy. I want it piloted. I want things done slowly. None of this go 10 to the dozen and crash and burn a whole franchise. It's absolutely disgusting that Doctor Who, with the ambitions the BBC had to go global, has ended up so bloody parochial that nobody's talking about it. I mean, that's a tank and a half, that. I want the Doctor to be the main focus of the show again. David Harding, you see what I was saying about the TARDIS crew? New Who have done a cheat here. They've gone for this kind of, well, we've got we've got the whole family set up. And it does diminish the Doctor. So I think there's a lot of questions to be asked about how we do bring Doctor Who back in the future and whether we need this full-on team to sustain the actor or whether there's another way around of doing it. Tomboy Chick, Shooters, you and the Doctor, constantly getting his kit off to pose for cameras. It says a lot, really. Yeah, he did it very, very differently. Michael Nemo, good to see you, and thank you very much. You know, times are tight now. Subs are drying up. Views are drying up. The Hoopettes. By the way, some of the Hoopettes are going to have to be struck off and made unemployed because we can't sustain the crew anymore. No, not in these hard times. So thank you, Michael Nemo. How can you have multiple characters in the TARDIS when you can't even get the main character right? Well, how right? How true? It is depressing, isn't it, Michael? Absolutely depressing. You just think, you don't have to do much. You're a Doctor Who fan. You know the Doctor character. You know the usual Doctor Who episodes and escapades you can do. So just apply that, execute that, do that well. I think what's happened here is RTD took a risk. That's why I started the show by saying this is the Gatwa Gambit. RTD's Gatwa Gambit. He gambled on Gatwa being different, being more emotional, queer energy, first Black Doctor, ticking a lot of boxes, everybody loving him. Oh, wow. He was winning headlines for doing nout. And then when he had to write the scripts, he delivered Space Babies and Devil's Court and Sutek and Omega. And I'm making you all sick. So yeah, it's no good. Anyway, I will say, how can I thank you for being so generous? I could be cruel. Here we go.
Give me the loving.
Now give me
Access denied.
Sorry about that, Michael. Sorry. Gareth Morgan. Exactly right. I was furious when I saw Capaldi's first story. Matt was given great stuff. Peter seemed like he was being punished for being too good. You see, this is it. The argument is there about storylines and everything. So let's see what else we've got here before I move on again. Tony Farrell's TARDIS. I agree an episodic series would allow for character and plot development, and it's cheaper. RCD was spending the budget like it was no tomorrow. If you had a story, I will go back to Nerva Beacon. I think that was genius, Nerva Beacon. Genius. 8 episodes, all on the same thing, and then you had a bit of budget where you can add a corridor and add a, I've forgotten the name of that man's room. He was the spy, wasn't he? Kellner. All that. So yeah, I think his eyes are too big for his belly. He got too excited. I think he saw the prize without doing the work. And I don't mean he wasn't working typing. He wasn't thinking. He wasn't strategizing. He wasn't being clever. And by God, everybody above him at the BBC wasn't doing that either. Stephen Braddock is obviously looking forward to tomorrow night. Oh, well, I will have to say it slowly, though. Judge Jodie. Not Judge Judy, Judge Jodie. She has said so much in the Doctor Who magazine. Big Finish. There's so much to talk about. We will have fun time tomorrow night. So please join us. Book your seats. Get your front row. Mad Mackham, I cannot see why this role is more demanding than any other lead character in any other show. Can anyone give reasons why? I think Doctor Who is interesting in that way. I mean, if you think from Line of Duty, it was a team. Mad Mackham, think of shows where you have one lead actor, really. It's adventure. The science fiction psychobabble that you've got to discuss and learn. The way New Who is operating, they seem to think 1 week it's a musical, 1 week it's a comedy, 1 week it's, we go in different genres. You can imagine it actually taxes the actor a little bit more than just saying, right, we're back in Holby City again, and we have to kind of check, there's a new patient in today. You can imagine there's something going on here. Every few weeks, he's going to have to go, what the hell do I do with this? They didn't establish who his character was. David Harding. I could be wrong about Gatwa, but it almost feels like he was trying to use Doctor Who as a spring. David Harding, I'm in no doubt. I'm in no doubt about that. So let's move on slightly. This is what he also said. I never got to fight a Dalek or a Cyberman. I mean, just the crux of Doctor Who. So I might do that. I might go and fight a Dalek. And then later on, he said to Laura Kunsberg, never say never. Now, the thing is here, folks, because I'm joining, like I said, the 2 interviews up. Hold on a minute. You say you were wrestling with this decision about whether you stay or leave Doctor Who. Well, you've not met a Dalek. You've not met a Cyberman. It obviously doesn't bother you. So don't tell me as soon as you make the decision to leave that you wouldn't mind coming back. That does not compute. When I'm happy to get out of a job for whatever reason, you know, the people you're working for or underneath and all the rest of it, I don't then suddenly say, you know, when I'm in the pub a day later, oh, and I'll come back anytime. That sounds like the drink talking. That sounds like he's a people pleaser. He'll just say anything, but he doesn't mean it. You know, it's vacuous, basically. Because you've just given away your first lead TV role after one filming block. And you're saying, and the crux of Doctor Who was Daleks and Cybermen, and I didn't see any of them, and I didn't face any of them, and I'll have to face one day. You decided to leave. You bought yourself out of the contract. You deliberately paid money to get out of the contract. So you really didn't wrestle that much ultimately. You really wanted to get out. And I think it's because you were worried about your ambitions wobbling. You worried that Plan A had gone wrong. You worried about being associated with a brand that had gone toxic. The PR wasn't good and the ratings weren't good. And because you're the lead actor, this was not looking tasty for Hollywood. Tomboy, Doctor Who is never a musical. It's never a comedy. Yes, there's moments of humour, but that's not a comedy. Tell that to you-know-who. Stephen O'Neill, Peter Davison said he never felt he was the Doctor till he fought the Daleks, but glad Gatwa didn't meet them. I'm blooming glad as well, because you-know-who might have come in tow with them.
Women, only shut the fool up!
Could have been, and then we'd have seen him walking and all the rest of it. But hallelujah for him leaving early, because we didn't have to see Susan embarrass herself. Oh, this is nice. Just remember, I'm your granddad. Yeah, Susan. Wait, what's going on here? Put your hand off that. What's it? Love all your work on Doctor Who, RTD. I've always got my hanky out. How many more seasons of Doctor Who have you written? You never know, I may have written as many as 5! Feels different this time. Oh, regenerating! You unearthly child. Yeah, 5 series. Can you imagine it? I think he probably has written 5 series. So let's look at some of the reasons he's actually said for leaving. Okay? Because this was his prized role. Now remember, my source said to me, Ncuti wanted to do brand deals, but he was stopped. He couldn't make money. He needed to get out. His body is the cash cow. He needs to get out. So that was one thing straight away that was necessary. And we saw it. We've been mentioning it already. He's a clothes horse. He's a fashionista. As Robert Payne said, he never had a Doctor Who silhouette. He was getting changed all the time. Those moments, oh my God, I'm embarrassed when I have seen them again. You know when him and Millie got changed in Devil's Cord, and then they do this drop, the catwalk in the TARDIS. They did it again this series with Rtd'S. I'm sorry, this is just not Doctor Who. It's not a catwalk, and it's not an excuse. You see that jukebox? Oh, you wondered why that jukebox was there, and all they did was pretend it was playing some blooming pop music. Totally wrong. It was the totally wrong vibe. But you can see, he's a shape-shifting show-off. Those are his words, not mine. I'm not being toxic. That's him talking about himself. I think, as I said, he'd already achieved the headlines just by being. It's a bit like President Obama. Just by being the first black president, he got the Nobel Prize. Then he had to do some work. Ncuti had already hit the headlines. He'd already got all the tick boxes. He said he was going to get a school built in Rwanda. He said he was, up to all these great things, and representation's very important, and this is the start of the Black Crusade. Remember all the articles last year? Saloons galore last year about them. And then he leaves. Like Kaiser Soze. Then he was gone. So fast. So you think, right, 1 minute, representation is really important to me, the first black gay doctor, and then, sorry, you've got to leave, got to do some other things. This is the superficiality. This is the cosplay. This is the diva doctor. This is the person who doesn't want to hang around. I'm going to start calling him, like I said, the fly-by-night doctor. Yeah? Gareth Morgan, brand deals? What could that fool do? Be the main guy in the next surreal Jaguar commercial? Oh, I could have seen him in the Jaguar commercial easily. That was the thing. And I think he could as well. Peter Gartner. Gatwa was good doing There's Always a Twist at the End. No other doctor could have done that as well. Oh, he was good with that. He was good with that tea trolley in Devil's Cord. I'll give him that. I'll give him that. Now, remember what my source said, because it is important that we remember what the media insiders say, and I will remind you of a few things in a momento.
YouTube is melting with everyone pondering, thinking, sweating over who is the source.
Be allowed to make contact with the source.
Prepare for access to the source.
Therefore, claim rapport with the source, so that you may make your judgment.
Rapport with the source. As he said, there was no buzz about Ncuti. Ncuti's team knew that. Let's get out. Let's escape before it tarnishes our image. That was one issue that was going on. The next issue was, remember this. And this is obviously my source talking to me. I heard it from the media and the execs in the room that there were challenges with the talent. Read into that what you want. They didn't put Millie into many scenes with Ncuti, and that is what I've heard from people. And remember, at the very end of the reality war, when we were still in shock at seeing Billy going, I've grown big masculine shoulders, and she was doing a Les Dawson impersonation, while we were still shocked by that and thinking, what is going on? Is this the Joker? We'd missed the point that at the very end of all those retakes and everything at unit headquarters, the doctor, who prized himself on, I'm a foundling too. I've got no parents either. I'm a timeless child too. Me and Millie, we're the same person. Remember that in season 1, all that twaddle that RTD wrote? So at the end of season 2, he doesn't even say goodbye. So this poor foundling, Millie, suddenly is abandoned again by her best mate. How cruel is that? Be kind, be kind. I tell you what, the people who tell you to be kind are clueless about how to be kind. Remember, Ruby Sunday was not given a send-off by the doctor. He didn't say goodbye. He was more bothered about, Poppy! Where's Papa? Where's my Papa? I want to know where my Poppy is. Dear God. So, Mad Mackham, is there ever going to be a time, years down the line, when Gatwa's doctor is looked upon with good grace like the Star Wars... Excuse me? Look, I will rewatch. I'm going to try and watch a Jodie Whittaker before tomorrow night. Right, you can dare me, you swines in the... Me and Jamie's still off till next week. So we're back from Spain. So let's just ruin our holidays, you swines. What one story should we watch again before talking to you tomorrow night? Just so we've been re-energized about the Jodie Whittaker era. Which one should it... To be fair. I'll see... I'll see what people come up with. Stephen Jeannie, the Black Doctor abandons his friends. Great message. But that was the message, wasn't it? There's no other message. He was obsessed with being with Belinda Chandra and Poppy and on the play mat. And oh, I will so miss you, Belinda. Belinda. Poor Ruby Sunday was at unit headquarters. He even had a word for Rose again. Doctor, I've caught shoplifters in Catford. I'm doing really well. They've got me a badge. I'm staff member of the week. Oh, well, I'm really proud of you, darling. I'm really proud of you. And I think your mum's proud of you too. She's still weeding with David Tennant. Yeah, we're proud of you. There's Ruby Sunday stood there going, do you know what? Do you know what? I was the only one who saw through Conrad Clark in Lucky Day. I came to tell you, I broke that myth. You... Oh, I tell you what, I'd be furious. She risked her life, Ruby Sunday. She was the only one who saw the nonsense and the spin. He was living his stupid la-la land pretending he was heterosexual. Remember that? So, Flux is still the best Whittaker season, low bar, but still. Stephen Genie, I'm not going to watch all 6 before tomorrow, though. I'm not, I promise. Right, let's have a look. The source also reminds us is insulting fans is not the behaviour of a professional executive showrunner of a television show. In deliberately insulting the fans and allowing the lead actors to say to the fans, go and touch grass. I mean, that is and should be a sackable offence. Is that why he left? Obviously not the knees, obviously not his health, obviously he's not too old because nearly every other actor's been older than him. Was it the schedule? I will dangle that question. But then the other thing is, he did start off on the wrong foot. And it's an expression me and Jamie heard while we were on holiday with somebody else insulting people by saying, go and touch grass. Seems to be an expression people use an awful lot at the moment. Stephen Braddock, how cruel. Brendan, the Nicholas Tesla episode is pretty good. Oh, God, I don't read it. Arachnids in it. Are you lot having a laugh? Jamie's on holiday. This could end up with divorce. Jamie, as a treat, we'll have a candlelit dinner and we'll watch the Tesla episode. Oh my God. Honestly, I can see the end of life here. Gareth Morgan, I will give Jodie one thing. I'm not a fan, but Chibnall should never put her in that position. If he was really her friend, he wouldn't have done it to her. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Anthony Parkinson, Gatwa's from the generation of actors that thinks every role needs to be a version of themselves. Yeah. Now, can I just say, and I've put that picture up because, to be honest, everyone thinks that's a tease. Oh, we should have, that was the great finish. Who in our thread really wanted that as the finish? The Doctor in a nightclub, Susan... Our great Susan Foreman, the granddaughter, stood like some Anakin, Skywalker in the background. No, with Yoda, like ghosts in Return of the Jedi. No, I did not want that. I'm so glad that didn't happen. I'm disappointed we didn't see Carol Ann Ford. But why did we have to end with, Ncuti's hanging around. He's going to do season 3, so we'll just end with a good disco, and there's Susan in the background giving it a bit of jive. No! How the hell was that Doctor Who? Where's the narrative arc? What a lot of absolute bull that was. So, this plan of Ncuti's was to hang around. This was going to promote him. Plan A went wrong. This was supposed to be the version, and as you know, the version RTD wanted was that by this point, everybody in the country, in the world, is going, oh my God, he's such a cool Doctor. God, it's such a cool program. Oh my God, the millions watching around the world. The merchandise is going off the scale. And then the spin-off arrives. Hooray! And then the spin-off goes off into the stratosphere like Torchwood does into a few seasons. And then we get Ncuti back for season 3 after a little rest. That was the plan. We all know that was the plan. But Ncuti talking about knees and health and age and family and Cardiff. Sorry, Welsh people, sorry. He's slagging off Wales again. This wasn't the plan, was it? Here's my question. Why would Russell Davies hire someone for one filming block of Doctor Who and then they leave? Would you have given them the job? I'd have said, clear off. If you've got hundreds of people auditioning for Doctor Who and they said they had trans, non-binary, black, white, men, women, they had everybody. They had the whole human race auditioning. So you had plenty of choice. And the actor you pick, just before they sign the contract, they say, I'm only doing one filming block and then I'm off. I'd have said, well, yeah, you're off as well, yeah. Clear you go. There's your taxi fare. Clear off. I want somebody who's going to hang around because we're launching Doctor Who, love. So this was not part of the plan. Let's not pretend. I thought RTD was saying this was Ncuti's role of a lifetime. Remember? Oh, we nicked him. We got him before James Bond got him. And then he leaves straight away. Right, okay then. This was not the plan. So the RTD master plan has backfired. He took a risk on somebody who'd never been a lead actor in a main big show. They actually say the schedules were the ones that were bullying them, so they left. RTD, you took a risk with Doctor Who. It didn't work. You blew it up in our faces, and then you tiptoed to make a 5-part gay tiptoe series on Channel 4, hoping that this will all go away. Meanwhile, we're all sat there, still aghast at what we saw for 2 seasons, still staring at a TV screen in disbelief at what we saw. And we cannot believe that having been served 3 specials, the 60th, the Disney money, we suddenly are being told, no Doctor Who, pause, hiatus, limbo, let's see what happens in the future. Maybe the news round generation might write something. You blew it up. Where was the jeopardy? If this was the great finish, the great planned finish for Doctor Who, where was the great regeneration story? Poppy! Where's my Poppy? I want my Poppy! Was that it? God, I mean, that's up there with Legopolis, isn't it? Legopolis, the whole universe is under threat. And in the end, it's that classic Sherlock Holmes Moriarty fight on the gantry instead of it being at the I can never say it, the Reichenbach Falls. Drama! But oh, no. Puppy! Where's my puppy? I've never been a dad. But then the whole end of story is, I'm infertile, I'm barren. I've got no seeds. What is this? I was wondering what this story was about. I'm infertile, I can't have kids. I want kids. I'm going to be a dad. Meanwhile, you've got, I'm going to take the blue crystal back to Metabolus 3 and risk my life. Meanwhile, I will try and escape the Time Lords, but in the War Games, the Time Lords will get me. Honestly. And meanwhile, we get there. Where's Papa? If I can just move the universe by 1 split second, I might save one girl. Really? Oh my God. Do you know, the tears were flowing down my face. I was thinking, this is so emotional. This is so good. He's moving the whole of the universe for one child who we didn't give a damn about. Dear me. Sorry, am I being over the top now? Sorry. I apologise. I should pull myself back here. Pull back, Brendan. Pull back.
Leave the girl. It's the man I want.
Honestly, she's obsessed. Evelyn Burkholder. I loved how you're being served on the American version of Forget the Name of the Show about young and gay. Queer as folk. Dormant Assassin. The writing was worse than Ncuti's acting. At least he tried. Well, he delivered the lines. And sometimes he spat the lines. Not as good as me. Papa! Where's my Papa? I want to save Poppy. Poppy, I'll never be your dad. Honestly. Sorry, Madam Aka. This week is Farsight. I fell asleep halfway through her first episode. Oh, you didn't miss Poppy. Farsight, don't tell me you missed Poppy. Papa. Fruity Gatwa says, And apologise, my eyesight's rubbish. Fruity Gatwa made for a disgusting doctor. Nobody wanted a doctor sporting a permanent duck face and prance about in a skirt. I have to say, that moment with the music, and Disparu does it so well. You know, we've all watched Disparu's great edits. That moment when he walks down the stairs as if it's his great coming out moment, or realisation that he's a man. I'm not infertile. I can father any kid I want once I get in that TARDIS and get that time rotor moving. Honestly, what the hell was going on? So he comes down the stairs in this strange skirt suit outfit, which we've all... I was trying to find one for the hour's trip to Spain. I'd have been beaten out to hell if I wore something like that, and I'd have felt so embarrassed. And Jamie would have divorced me. But apparently, it's the future. Stephen Genie, Ncuti will twerk the Daleks to death. He'll be jealous of the size of the sink plunger, I think. Extinct. They tried so hard to make Ncuti the family problems focused doctor, but it didn't land. He can't convince the audience that he's an incarnation of the Doctor, no aura whatsoever. More passion in Brendan's last 3 minutes than the last 2 series. Papa, I'm in front of... Sorry, I'm going to lose the thread here. Anthony Parkinson, RTD2 was emboldened by the corrupting of the MCU. Yeah. There was ambition coupled with ambition. We had Ncuti's ambition, his agency ambition. You had RTD's ambition. You had Bad Wolf's ambition. You had the BBC's ambition. And actually, I don't think any of them sat down and planned it. They just said, you could see Julie Gardner, bless her, and she was saying, we want Doctor Who to reach every home in the world. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that as a if you're going to go global with a global streamer like Disney, go for it. The trouble is, as you and I are both aware now, the more Doctor Who is seen as a global brand, the more Doctor Who is seen as a cultural icon, the more we lose Doctor Who. I actually want it to be hidden away. I want it to be a little bit lost. I want it not to be seen as trendy, and then we'll get Doctor Who back. At the moment, all the cultural warriors want their moment on Doctor Who. Ncuti Gatwa saw it as a launch pad, clearly. And we got all the speeches about race and everything else. What about Doctor Who? What about the programme? What about the crux of the programme? Stephen Genie, the Doctor was a dad. Remember Fear Her and the Doctor's daughter? And I know there's complications that he's got a granddaughter, and it's just, I'm sure Verity Lambert believed this as well. Just don't go there. Just don't go there. Don't scare the kids. Don't tell them what parents get up to. Eastland Burkholder. Sadly, Ncuti tried to do something with what was on the page of the script, and he has no gravitas, sense of being authoritative, and so he failed. I would have adored Ncuti to have elevated himself to a Pertwee on Peladon moment. I'd have loved Ncuti to have elevated himself to Tom Baker in the middle of Deadly Assassin. Authoritative, brave, daring do. Look, can you imagine Ncuti's outfits in the quarry in the Matrix of Deadly Assassin? That was brutal. That was a brutal adventure. Burning his brain out, risking his life, getting all dusty and gritty and burnt. Meanwhile, oh my God, is this combustible? I can't imagine it being the same. I've been on holiday, Eastland Burkholder. There were drinks on the plane. What can I say? Anthony Parkinson, the Hugh season of Peacemakers apparently using the same twist as Dot. Oh, don't. Stephen Braddock, after watching the second Christmas special, and wasn't it so special? I don't even watch the robot episode and only watch the well and the final. Wish I hadn't. I know, and once you've seen it, Braddock, you're stuffed. Paul Thomas Ashworth, Thank you very much, kind sir. I didn't mind Geordie. Oh, well, tomorrow night you can get the front row, and please do. Please do. I'm not being sarcastic. Judge Judy, 8 p.m. tomorrow night. I've got Joe Chapman on. I've got John Yulden on. I've got Belfast Ryan on. It's not going to be quiet. I didn't mind Jodie. She was let down by the most boring companions ever. Oh yeah, I think I fancy her. I think the cancer's come back. Oh, I can't ride a bike. Sorry. Ncuti was not the doctor, full stop. At least Millie was decent. Millie was decent. I actually thought she was so blessed. I wasn't won over in the first season, but when she came back, she seemed so established. So no, I do get it, and I totally take what you say. Thank you, by the way, Paul. So let's just give you a nice little kind of taster.
Everyone sees and knows too much.
Yeah, us, we're fans. That's why. Shut up, Davros. Go and find some goldfish bowl to stick your blooming head in. Stephen O'Neill. William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton and John Pertwee must be turning in their graves at the last 8 years of Doctor Who. And you know what? They'd have been gentlemen and not said anything if they were around. Eastland Burkholder. Disney was sold this Doctor Who thing only RTD understands, like a kind of physics equation. It was not true, but RTD sold it as that. And they were hooked like fish with hook on their mouth. I know, he because he's a Doctor Who fan, he could talk the talk. We all can. You get us all in a pub. If we did a Sensphere reunion in a pub somewhere in Britain or the world, we would all be going, do this, do that. Now, you could bring suit up back, you could do this. We'd be very detailed. And if some program maker was in the background, go, oh my God, they have so many plans. And I think RTD basically just did that version. He did a fanfic version of an idea. And they all went, yeah. And as I know, my sources said the BBC don't want to listen to sentences about Doctor Who. They just want to hear that you've got it going. Make us some money. Shut up. I'm infertile. Shut up. I'm barren. Shut up. I want to know where my puppy is. Shut up. Are we making money yet? Eastland Burkholder. Ncuti could have played the companion, but he has no gravitas, no sense of authority. Eastland Burkholder, but the great moment in Dot and Bubble. Yeah! Oh, he was spitting and spewing and everything. I mean, that was above the Ark in Space moment, wasn't it? No? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. So, in the end, we can have our moments about Ncuti, but as our source said, RTD is the one who's let down the BBC. You see, we can't, as Stephen Braddock said, we can't unsee all this. This was the plan. Jodie Whittaker was going to go off behind a hill on that thing, and that was the end of Doctor Who. It wasn't coming back. No fade to black. Bang. And then Russell contacted the BBC and said, do you want me to bring it back? And they said, oh yeah, money. And that was the problem, because he just saw them coming. And we've got where we are now, where apparently, he's looking in the mirror going, I don't know whether I should leave. I think I've taken black representation as far as I can with Doctor Who. I think I need to move on now. That's how it feels. The whole thing, as my source said, has just been a disaster. It has been an absolute disaster. No denying it at all. Absolute stitch up from beginning to end. There's been no creative oversight. Nobody's had a day of experience on creative strategy and would have signed off on all this nonsense. So we were left with what we had. Gareth Morgan here. People who complain about McGann not getting more than a backdoor pilot never seem to have read the synopsis of the stories that would have followed it. It would have been bad, and MC couldn't afford it. Eastern Burkholder. Disney wanted the prestige of Doctor Who, but they jumped when they could. Why did they not get the back catalogue? This is what I don't understand. My source doesn't understand. Nobody seems to understand why they didn't argue the toss. Seems so mad to me. So, I've gone around a bit around the houses. I've been around the houses in Spain. I've had a good time. Me and Jamie have had a good time. We're back. I wanted to plant a live news bite tonight, and Ncuti just served it up for me, baby. I had to wrestle with myself. I was torn between my career, my contract, my conviction, black representation, showing more queer energy. He had no queer energy. Tell you what, if he's an advert for queer energy, oh my God, I've got more puff in what? My inhaler? Dear God. I represent queer energy. I'm infertile. I'm barren. My knees have gone. I'm knackered. I can't do it. I'm 32. Queer energy. Oh my God. Tell you what. Right. Eastland Bakeholder. Brendan has your source mentioned prestige, quirky stuff, attraction, Doctor Who, Hadford. He's mentioned a lot, and I'm getting him back on. Don't worry. I'm getting him back on. I might get some quotes for tomorrow. Garbage. Please check out Garbage Who. Ncuti couldn't act. Ncuti was only interested in the checkbox ticking. RTD couldn't write like he used to. He's an angry man who hates straight white men, and Doctor Who history, it was a disaster waiting to happen, and it happened, and we all regret it, and we have all been left with this absolute shit show. Shall I meet you all tomorrow night at 8 live? If you're late, detentions will be available. I used to be a teacher, don't you know? And I'm not having it. Great to see you all back. I think I'm on form. I think my panel will be on form tomorrow night. One last reminder, it will be Judge Jodie, the full ultimate interview with Doctor Who magazine, her ambitions to stay on for a 4th season. Yeah. See you tomorrow night. I'm going to go and get my tea now. Bye.